I never thought a simple Saturday afternoon could feel like a knife to the chest. I was sitting on the couch, flipping through the channels, waiting for Laura to finish in the kitchen so we could finally have lunch together. We had been married for 11 years, and in most ways, life was steady, predictable, even comfortable. I knew love changes with time. I knew routines creep in. I accepted that. But what I didn't accept was feeling like I had become a ghost in my own home. Her laughter rang out from the hallway, soft and warm, but it wasn't for me. I looked up, and there he was, one of her colleagues, someone I'd met briefly at a work event last month. His name was Nathan. He was tall, with that kind of effortless charm that made people smile before they even spoke. And she was smiling at him, truly smiling, like the way she used to smile at me when we first met. My hand froze mid-flip of the remote. My stomach twisted, and the air in the room suddenly felt heavy. I stayed still, pretending to check my phone, pretending I hadn't seen anything. But I had, and the more I watched, the more invisible I felt. Not just unseen, but replaced. Every small gesture between them, the way she tilted her head at his jokes, the sparkle in her eyes, it was all something I hadn't felt from her in years. I realized in that moment that I was witnessing a quiet betrayal, one that didn't even need words to cut me. I tried to rationalize. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe he had said something genuinely funny. Maybe I was being paranoid. But deep down, I knew. I knew this wasn't just laughter. It was warmth, intimacy, a connection that should have been ours alone. And there I was, sitting on the couch, a spectator to my own life. I set my phone down, and my legs moved without me really thinking. I got up and walked toward the hallway, toward the door. Not because I wanted to confront her yet. Not because I was angry. I was ready to make a choice, ready to reclaim some part of myself that had been quietly eroding over the past few years. When I reached the doorway, I paused. I watched her. She didn't notice me at first. She was too engrossed in the conversation, too absorbed in the attention she was giving Nathan. And that's when it hit me. I had been invisible long before he walked into the room. I had been invisible the last 5 years, the last 3 birthdays, the countless weekends she spent texting friends while I planned trips for us. I had been giving everything to a relationship that had slowly stopped seeing me. My mind wandered back to the early days, to the way she used to look at me when I walked into a room. There was that spark, that unspoken understanding. And somewhere along the way, the spark had died. Not with a fight, not with a harsh word, but with quiet neglect. And now, watching her with him, I understood fully how far the distance had grown. I didn't knock. I didn't announce myself. I just took a deep breath and stepped into the hallway. Every step felt heavier than the last, but with each one, I felt a strange clarity settle in. It wasn't about confronting her. It wasn't about making a scene. It was about acknowledging the truth I had avoided for too long. She had changed, and so had I. I remembered the times I had tried, small gestures, quiet acts of love that went unnoticed. Making her coffee just the way she liked it, leaving notes in her bag, planning little getaways. I had done everything I could to keep the closeness alive, and yet she had pulled away, bit by bit, leaving me with only echoes of what we once had. And now, here was the proof in front of me. Not cruel words, not betrayal through action, just a smile, a warmth that I no longer inspired, directed at someone else. That smile said everything. It said I was replaceable. It said our years together had faded into routine. It said she didn't see me anymore. I clenched my fists for a moment, feeling a mix of sadness, disbelief, and something stronger, something that felt like the beginning of liberation. I realized that I had a choice, to stay in this half-life, to linger in the shadows of my own home, or to step out and reclaim some part of my dignity. And for the first time in years, I felt the weight lift slightly. I wasn't running. I wasn't angry. I was simply recognizing the truth and acting on it. Nathan's laugh broke through my thoughts, and I felt a jolt. I didn't move toward him, didn't say a word. I didn't need to. My decision wasn't about confrontation. It was about clarity. I turned toward the door, hand on the knob, and paused. One last glance at her. One last silent acknowledgement of the years, the memories, the quiet erosion of us. And then I walked out. Not dramatically, not with slamming doors or shouted accusations. Just a calm, measured step into the fresh air where the night felt sharp and clear. It was late, almost dusk, and the street was quiet. I could hear the faint rustle of leaves in the wind, and for a moment, The world felt larger than the pain I carried. I drove to a friend's house, a place that felt neutral, safe, a place where I didn't have to perform. I sat there, hands gripping the edge of the couch, feeling the tension in my chest slowly uncoil. It wasn't immediate relief, not yet. It was a recognition, a quiet understanding that I had finally chosen myself in a situation that had long stopped being about us. Later, I would call my lawyer, organize my finances, plan my next steps. But none of that mattered at that moment. What mattered was that I had stood up. I had stepped into the unknown, yes, but into it with my eyes wide open. And in that step, there was power, not over her, not over him, but over my own life, over my own dignity. Sometimes, it's not the dramatic confrontation, not the shouting or tears, that defines a turning point. Sometimes, it's the quiet acknowledgement of reality and the courage to step away from what no longer serves you. That day, that one simple step toward the door, I rediscovered that courage. I realized, finally, that being invisible in a house full of memories doesn't mean I have to stay invisible in life. I could be seen. I could be heard. I could exist on my own terms, without needing validation from someone who no longer chose to give it. And so, as I walked down the quiet street, the air cool against my skin, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: clarity. Not relief, not happiness, not yet, but clarity. And that was enough for now. Enough to know that the rest of the story, whatever it would be mine to write. I didn't look back, not once. And in that absence of backward glances, I felt the weight lift, the silence sharpen, and a new chapter begin. One step, one decision, one quiet act of self-respect, and the rest, finally, could follow.